Here's another annual sermon. It's called an election sermon, and it's the longest traditional form of annual sermon in America. The first election sermon was preached in 1634 in Virginia, and for each year thereafter, right up until the 20th century, an annual election sermon is preached in pulpits across America. We understood that we had a dual citizenship. We indeed were citizens of heaven, but we also were citizens of earth. And God had placed us here in this country with a stewardship government that belonged to we the people. So what did God expect of us in our stewardship capacity over the civil government He had given us? What did He expect of us in the selection of our leaders? What did the Scriptures teach about this process? For almost 3 centuries, this was an annual sermon topic in America. I think you'll recognize the names in this sermon. It's a sermon preached before John Hancock, signer of the Declaration and the first governor of Massachusetts, and before Samuel Adams, also a signer of the Declaration and the first lieutenant governor of Massachusetts, and before the Council and Senate and House of Representatives of that state. Did you realize that in many states they began their legislative session by inviting a minister to preach a sermon addressing the biblical principles of lawmaking? Of course, the Bible offers much guidance on this topic, for not only is God the great lawgiver, but many heroes of our faith were also lawgivers, including Moses, Joseph, Daniel, and many others. These sermons, preached in legislative chambers, included a number of our founding fathers. For example, this sermon was preached before Samuel Huntington, the governor of Connecticut and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. This sermon was preached before Caleb Strong, the governor of Massachusetts, and one of the delegates at the Constitutional Convention who framed the Constitution. This sermon was preached before Oliver Wolcott, the lieutenant governor and then the governor of Connecticut, and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And there were many other sermons involving our founding fathers.